Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 13th, and right now we're looking at the visible satellite imagery. Check out this huge trough over the Pacific Ocean there. That's what's helping out with this ridging here across the west coast. If you look close, you can see kind of the stratiform layer there, the marine layer kind of hugging the coastline all the way up through Oregon. This is going to continue to burn back as you go through the day today, but look across much of the region here. As you can see, nice clear skies. You can see all the snow-capped mountains there. You see Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, and Mount Hood there. You can see the higher terrain snowfall across Idaho, eastern Oregon, Montana, British Columbia. They're very nice. You can see that tongue of stratus there along the immediate coastline. This is looking at Seattle yesterday, 82 degrees, record high. We broke it by 1 degree there, and we're going to challenge some records again coming up here. We'll look at some of these temperatures as we go through the video today. This is National Weather Service Spokane. Again, that Monday, Tuesday time frame there for some thunderstorm activity. Going to remain warm, and we're going to have some cloud cover each of these days. So it's going to mess with the high temperatures a little bit here. So we'll go ahead and try to do our best to navigate that here over the next couple of days as well. You can see the heat advisory across much of western Washington, all the way up to the coastline here. This is Portland's probably the hottest days, either Saturday or Sunday, 93 degrees here. So probably back-to-back 90-degree days, at least back-to-back days for Portland coming up. But you can see that Corvallis, 92, Vancouver, Hillsborough, Longview, Kelso, Raymond, 90 degrees. Very warm temperatures incoming here. This is looking at the upper elevations, 18,000 feet. There's that big trough you saw in the satellite imagery with the ridge developing here. Put that into motion, and you see the ridge is going to continue to really develop here as we go through Sunday morning, shown about there. And there comes this little shortwave here, this little low pressure system. Mainly, you can see this system aloft as it moves underneath the ridge back towards Pacific Northwest. Going to introduce some thunderstorm potential here across the region, but you can see the ridge holding on just above it. Trough sits out over the Pacific Ocean, not making much headway towards Pacific Northwest. That ridging holds on all the way through next weekend before we try to spin something into British Columbia here as we go through later next weekend, but not much of an impact there. We'll watch this as we go, but it looks like a very nice week coming up in towards next weekend as well. This is the GFS. This is actually last night's run, put it into motion. You see that energy moving underneath that ridge back towards Pacific Northwest here. Trough hanging out over the Pacific Ocean again, not making a lot of headway towards Pacific Northwest. Gets a little bit closer as you go through the end of the week, but you can see the ridging hold on there and even redevelop a little bit as we go towards next weekend. A fairly weak system swings through southeast Alaska. Probably not much of an impact for the Pacific Northwest. Then you see this system drop down across the northern plains here, but we're looking way out there towards the 10-day period, and you can see the general pattern here is for ridging through the next week. This is looking at day 2. This would be for Sunday into Monday morning. You can see it starting to incorporate some of Oregon and Washington here, Idaho. This is day 3. You notice it includes the Willamette Valley, Puget Sound. That would be up for Southwest BC as well. This is looking at the composite reflectivity, the NAM3KM. This is the latest, hot off the presses, the 12Z run here. Put it into motion as we go through the day tomorrow. You'll notice some of this activity moving into eastern Oregon here, trying to get into eastern Washington as well. Then we go through Monday and notice the afternoon, some of these thunderstorms crawling off the Cascades. Some of them look even fairly strong. Could be some prolific lightning producers here. You can see some of these showers popping up across western Washington, the Willamette Valley. You see the kind of general direction as they crawl out of the Cascades, moving from east to west, shown there. So we'll watch this closely. This is looking at lightning flash density potential on the European run. So let's go ahead and speed ahead to Sunday afternoon about here. And you can see some of this activity moving into Idaho and Oregon there. And as we go on into Monday, you'll notice this really spread west across the Cascades, potentially some of western Washington, western Oregon. So pretty good model agreement. We do have a decent chance for some thunderstorm activity west of the Cascades. And then potentially again as we go through the day Tuesday also, you can see some of that activity even across the Olympic Mountains there, eastern Washington, Oregon. I might have to get out and about and take some lightning pictures across Pacific Northwest. Usually get some pretty nice high bases here. You can get some really gorgeous scenes. So get your cameras ready, eyes on the sky Monday and Tuesday. This is looking at 2-meter max temperature. Put this into motion. This would be Sunday's high. Look at that, Seattle 90, Portland probably somewhere around 90 as well. Just depends on the cloud cover also. But look at Vancouver Island, western BC, getting really warm. The temperatures are warmer west of the Cascades. We've got this offshore flow. This compression wind sinks off the higher terrain, and it really warms things up as you get down towards lower elevations. Even the coast is likely to see some very warm temperatures coming up here, potential record highs. This would be for Monday. Look at Seattle, maybe back-to-back 90-degree days there. Again, very warm west of the Cascades, including eastern Washington. But again, it just depends on where those clouds are going to set up. And with this very warm, moist atmosphere, it's going to be over the area. This would be Tuesday, another very warm day across the region. Wednesday, look at this again, mid and upper 80s for Seattle, Portland. You guys get the picture here as we go through this week. Look at this, calling for a very warm day again on Thursday. This is last night's GFS run, by the way. So it may be overdoing things a tad, but you get the picture here. We're going to be very warm through the end of next week as well. Into next weekend, looks very nice. And just a reminder, the average highs are only in the mid to upper 60s for a lot of areas across Pacific Northwest this time of year. Here's a national blend of models. You can see the warmth does continue all the way in through next weekend and potentially into the early portion of next week as well. Nice warm temperatures incoming. This is for Boise here. Nothing but mid and upper 80s after you get through today. This is Spokane here as well. Look at that, some nice upper 80s. The warm temperatures have arrived. And like I mentioned yesterday, hopefully you got your tomatoes in the ground, but by the time this heat wave ends, it'll be June and they should be planted anyway. This is looking at 15-day temperature anomalies here. So you've got, we're not dealing with much precipitation. We're not getting many systems in here. These thunderstorms are going to bring some precipitation, but it's highly variable, some hit and miss. And you can see over the next 15 days, we've got a pretty good precipitation deficit going. And with that lightning around, hopefully we're not going to be starting many forest fires here. It would not be a nice thing to get the forest fire season underway early. This is looking at mean sea level pressure, and I want to show you that thermal trough and why the west sides of the Cascades up through BC are going to warm up more than the east sides. You can see the thermal trough moving up, and you can imagine the air flowing from the high pressure in the interior over this trough kind of by default here. As this ridge sets up, that sinking air just kind of forms this low pressure by default, known as a thermal trough here off the coastline. Now, looking at the winds here, so I'm going to speed ahead a little bit here. You can see the offshore flow developing, especially as we go through the day today, and look at it really pick up by Sunday morning. Thermal trough in place there, getting that compression heating going across much of the area west of the Cascades. Possible 90-degree day for Seattle, Portland, for example, and the entire west coast here really warming up quite nicely. And you can see that offshore flow continuing on in through Monday there before it finally starts to relax a little bit here, but we'll watch that. It looks like we're going to remain warm through the period. This is 6 to 10 day probability outlook here. Bullseye right on the Pacific Northwest here. This is 8 to 14 day. This goes through May 26th here. So it looks like we're going to be well above average on in towards the end of May. This is precipitation probability. This goes through May 22nd, and this is May 26th. So you can see we are going to be on the low side of precipitation amounts likely. I showed this yesterday as well. This is kind of a 30-day sea surface temperature anomaly run, and you can see the warm water continues to encroach across the equatorial Pacific here. We are likely headed towards a moderate or even a strong El Nino here, and we'll continue to watch these impacts as we go over the next few months. And this is looking at those probabilities. I showed this yesterday as well. This is 80% chance of going towards a moderate El Nino here as we move towards December, and for a strong, we're at about 54% chance here right now. Virtually no chance of La Nina returning this year. But anyway, yeah, get out and enjoy these warm days here. We went from winter to summertime basically here across Pacific Northwest. But anyway, we'll do this again tomorrow. We'll check out this thunderstorm threats. We'll look at things in a little bit more detail as we go on into tomorrow as well, because Monday looks like it could be a fun day here across Pacific Northwest. But anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.